Welcome to No Broken Legs. I am your host, Evan Belfiore. It is week 15 of the NFL season, and to get us through this week to the playoffs, we need a man who never quits in the middle of a game, and that is Jimmy Champ, who joins me on the phone tonight. How are you, Jimmy?
Definitely better than the career of Javondre Campbell, that's for sure.
That is a truthful statement. And those odds are about as good as the odds of San Francisco making the playoffs after losing to the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that ugly, ugly affair we saw Thursday night?
I think, part of it is remembering, we talk about how hard divisional games are in the AFC North for the AFC North teams. And we kind of do just have to remember that it can be like that for any divisional opponents. And it looked like the weather, even when it wasn't raining, it was foggy, it was crappy. And that was just a hard-fought game by two good defenses and one offense in San Francisco that might just be broken.
Oh, they might just be so injured it can't work.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, they've got tons of guys out. Kittle's still good. Debo's still good. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I got a lot of future bets are really sad about the San Francisco 49ers.
And it sucks because my long-term bets on San Francisco are hurting too. And I didn't put any money on LA this year because they've burned me so much the last couple of years. And we'll see. Maybe they find their way back in with a win next week against Seattle. That'll be a huge game.
Yeah, we both thought the future might have been bright, for the Rams this year. We both liked them preseason, but just not quite enough to pull the trigger, and we should have.
A team we were both pretty sure about pulling the trigger on was the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are coming to Cleveland to take on our Browns. They are 4-point favorites. The over-under sits at 43, minus 218 for the Chiefs, plus 180 for the Cleveland Browns. This is one of those. I don't know if Vegas knows what to do with Kansas City anymore. So they just throw that 4 out there and they go, you guys fucking figure it out.
Yeah, because I think Vegas knows that Andy Reid could give a shit how many points he wins football games by right now.
Yeah, they're not worried about style points.
Like, they don't care. They don't care. If they could win every game 3-0 by kicking a field goal on the first possession and punting the rest of the day, Andy Reid wouldn't care because it gives him home field advantage in the playoffs. But my friend. So all over social media, all over Browns towns that I'm around, there's a lot of thought that this game will be like the 49ers game last year, that this is that late season game where the Browns do something and surprise everybody. I'm pretty sure that was the Steelers game, and I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. I think we have seen subpar quarterbacks look really good against this Cleveland Browns secondary. And I'm afraid Patrick Mahomes is going to pick this week to go, let me just get ready for Buffalo. Let me just get ready for Baltimore in the playoffs. Let me see what I can do. And they're just like an offensive onslaught in the first half by the Kansas City Chiefs.
The one thing I would say Cleveland has going for him in this game is the Chiefs still have a shaky tackle situation. So This is the type of game that if he was going to rise to the occasion, Myles Garrett could have a monster game and take this game over. If they're going to let him go one-on-one with their left tackles, that's a matchup he should win pretty regularly. And Mahomes has been hit a lot this year.
Yes.
And I look at this as a measuring stick for that Kansas City offensive line. They brought back Humphrey to play left tackle. He's not great, but he's better than what they were getting there, which was pretty much the worst tackle play in the league. It's going to be a good primer to see who could actually give this Kansas City Chiefs team problems. And I think it starts with being able to attack their weak tackles.
Yeah.
That said, I can't imagine Kansas City losing this game, although we have seen Cleveland beat the best team in the league randomly for no reason.
Yes.
I would say it would be better for the Browns if they lost this game by 2 touchdowns
Well,
because
I
it
would agree.
might open some eyes in the front office and make them realize that this team's really far away from where they think they're trying to
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
And I was thinking about it today, and we'll do most of this in our off season, but you traded Zadarius Smith, so you're going to need to replace pass rusher. Tomlinson's probably going to be let go in the offseason. His guaranteed money ends, and they can cut him for nothing, and they're probably going to need to because he's probably going to be pretty expensive next year. So you're
yep.
going to need another defensive tackle. Newsom's probably not going to be back, so you're going to need a third corner. Thornhill's probably not going to be back, so you're going to need another safety.
Well, and let's be honest. You might need a first and second corner too.
I mean, they're just going to have to hope Emerson can refine his form. But what else are they going to do? Because that's just on the defensive side of the ball. When we look at the offensive side of the ball, what are you going to do with your tackles? I mean, I like DeJuan Jones, but the dude can't stay healthy. So I don't know how you can rely on him to be your left tackle. Your guards are both over 30 and starting to show a lot of wear and tear. Nick Chubb's probably not going to be back on this team. And I can't imagine them going into the next season with Jerome Ford as their starting running back. That would be insane in my mind.
Yes.
So I just, this is the type of game where Cleveland would surprise people and win, but it would wind up hurting them in the long term.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. That is what a lot of Browns fans think, is that this is the game where they screw up draft position, win a game they have no business winning, surprise everybody, make everybody think next year won't be as bad as it's going to be, all that stuff. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either. And especially with that plus 180, you're not even getting good odds for it to happen.
No. Like you would think like plus 320, you know?
Yeah, because
it's been kind of nice, but yeah,
I think
plus 180.
I think that Browns pass rush versus Kansas City O-line is why that number's that low.
Yeah, probably.
Or why the numbers are so even, I should say, not low. But you would expect Kansas City to be much higher favorites here, like you were saying, like probably minus 300, plus 250, plus 300.
Yep. But I think Vegas knows. I mean, Kansas City's playing close games against everybody because they're not interested in not playing close games. They don't care. They just want to win. And I think Vegas knows that. And it's not to say like this Chiefs team is not totally complete. You're absolutely they do have some roster issues, but the places on their roster that are really good tend to show up in the big moments. So
yeah, that play Mahomes made at the end of the game against the Chargers was just. I mean, it's just what he does every time there's a big play that needs to be made. And Kelsey finds the soft spot in the zone, and Mahomes knows where that is and knows how to get it to him. It was just disgusting. They fucking do it every time.
It was beautiful is what it was.
That was the least lucky of all of these wins that they've had, and people are like still like, oh, they're so lucky. Like, no, that's them just being fucking good.
Yeah, that's just them being better than you.
Something we should probably talk about before we move on is who's going to be kicking for the Browns on Sunday, Jimmy?
You know, the Dustin Hopkins saga, we've thought about this a lot, especially at the end of the last two seasons. But it makes you wonder if Kevin Stefanski has actually had any real kind of control since he's been the head coach for the Cleveland Browns. Because I think Kevin Stefanski is a very good talent, good mind for talent, has a good eye. I feel like he understands the flow of offense. There's no way he thinks Dustin Hopkins should be his kicker. And for him to do press conferences this week where for like 3 press conferences it was, I don't know, Dustin Hopkins is still our kicker. I don't know what the big deal is. And then we bring Riley Patterson back. And then we have a press conference and say, well, we'll figure out who's going to be kicking. We'll figure it out. And Bubba Ventrone does the same thing. And it's like, you can at least be honest with me. You can at least tell me somebody in an office in Berea doesn't want me to not play Dustin Hopkins because of how much money we're paying Dustin Hopkins. Like, you can at least be honest about it. Like, because I don't know if Riley Patterson's any good, but he damn sure can't be worse than the way Dustin Hopkins has been kicking for 3 weeks.
Is it just that he's hurt? Isn't that what happened to him in San Diego? He had an injury, started missing kicks, and
Yeah,
then they cut him, and then he got healthy. He kicked for the Browns, and like last year, he was automatic.
he was
So
fine.
is he dealing with an injury now? Because it seems like if he's
By all
dealing with an
accounts,
injury, why don't they just say he's dealing with an injury?
that's the thing. By all accounts, there is nothing physically wrong with Dustin Hopkins.
Well, who's saying that? The Browns medical staff?
There you
It's
go.
not exactly the most trusted source of medical information on players.
There you go. That's where the only place we got to get this information from, and that's what they're telling us. Other teams are booting 65-yarders, and we can't make extra points.
Well, not the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
They got their own kicking problems.
I like it. Let's take shots at Justin Tucker.
I mean, they signed Dustin Hopkins to what, a $5 million a year deal, something like that, 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of that could possibly be guaranteed? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. He's going to be back in the offseason because they paid him and they can't afford to cut him. So
Exactly.
this is why they're bringing somebody in. Just say he's hurt, even if he's not hurt, and let's just be done with the charade.
That's like they said. Fake an injury, go out there, fake an injury, let Riley kick, get your mind right, come back, be better next year. But it just feels like this has been the Kevin Stefanski regime, and I don't even know if any of it's Kevin Stefanski. Where
I don't think it is. I think it's Andrew Barry, D. Podesta, just don't say anything, but be ridiculous about it when you're specifically trying not to be ridiculous about it. But then they do other things where it makes it look like they're mean girls.
Like 4 years now.
I don't understand it.
You specifically come out and tell me a guy is playing okay, a guy is fine, who we watch every Sunday clearly not be fine. like Joe Schobert, like Taki, where you tell me there's no problem at linebacker when we watch teams just attack that player for all of their scripted plays.
It's like every time we need to get a 3rd and 7, we know we can attack that guy.
Yeah, it just feels like Dustin Hopkins is just the latest example of that, where you're telling me, yeah, this guy's fine, but dude, he's not fine. He's 3 for his last 9. He's not fine. He's not okay.
Not that it matters. This team's shitty anyway.
Whoa.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, not at all. Can we?
Yeah,
can we
they're
talk
a bad
about
football
maybe
team.
a non?
Well, let's talk about 2 other bad football teams. The Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Bengals are 5-point favorites. 46.5 is the over/under, -230 for Cincy, +190 for the Titans. I don't want to even think about this game, Jimmy.
No.
I mean, I know Cincinnati's going to put up a ton of points, so bet on Joe Burrow to throw 2 or 3 touchdowns. Chase is going to get at least 1. Brown will probably have a touchdown too, so there's like a 4-leg parlay already built for you.
You did that on the fly really good, bro.
Well, somebody may have bet the Brown Chase touchdown, Burrow 2 touchdowns. That was a parlay I made for the Thursday night game, and it hit.
Nice.
The other one didn't because I had Higgins in there to score, and of course Chase had 2.
Yes. I'm gonna take Tennessee with these points. I just trust the Bengals defense that little.
Who's even starting for Tennessee? Are they back on the Will Levis train?
I don't think it matters.
This is a fair point. Another place where it doesn't seem to matter who's playing quarterback, and that's the New York Football Giants. They are hosting the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. They are 16.5-point underdogs at home. 42.5 is the over/under. The Baltimore Ravens are -1,200 on the money line. The Giants are +750. I mean, this just is
guys,
set up for a classic
means,
Baltimore destroys somebody game.
That means keep Baltimore out of your parlays.
Yeah, they're not going to help your parlays.
They're not going to help your parlays.
Unless you're going to pick them to win by like 30. Which they might. They've slouched a couple of weeks in a row. Lamar always kills teams in the NFC. Basically, he beats everybody besides the Steelers and the Chiefs. So it's usually a good bet to bet them to win games by lots of points.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a pretty long day if you're still rooting for the New York Football Giants.
And I like the over on this game too.
Oh yeah, Baltimore should have that covered in like the first quarter.
Yeah, and there's another one where you can probably just throw some parlays together with like just
Yep,
Henry and Jackson to have good days, and you're probably going to do pretty good.
yep. You can probably take both of their over rushing yards, both of them for a touchdown.
Yeah, that sounds right. Our next game sees the Washington Armada traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Washington, 7.5 point road favorites. 43.5 is the over-under, minus 345 for the Armada, plus 275 for the Saints. I don't know. Washington played really well and made me look silly for saying Cliff Kingsbury's teams always play poorly late in the year, but I have no faith in this Washington team. But I hate this New Orleans team, so
I was gonna
I don't
say,
know what to do.
yeah, I think you can be right about the way you feel about Kingsbury teams and the Armada, and still know that Washington is going to beat the brakes off the Saints in this football game.
I'm gonna take I'll pick New Orleans just for the picks. I don't like it. I don't feel good about it. It's 7.5. They can keep this within a touchdown. That's a backdoor cover written all over it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
But I'm always wrong about the Saints, so people should probably bet Washington. Up next, the Houston Texans are 3-point home favorites. They're taking on the Miami Dolphins. 46.5 is the over-under, minus 148 for Houston, plus 124 for Miami. Is this a game where Miami could pose some real problems for Houston?
I don't know. This is, the first of the, there are 3 or 4 really big football games this week, and this is the first one we've talked about. And I'm very curious to see what a team that was winning games but not looking great looks like coming off of a week 14 bye. Like, were they just looking a little rough in weeks 11 and 12 and 13 because they hadn't had a freaking bye yet?
That's a good point. No, I think that's a really good point.
So I am very, very curious to see what these teams have had this super late bye look like. Both of these teams, I mean, Indianapolis will not go away, so Houston's still only 2 games up on Indy, and Miami's fighting for their playoff life. These are 2 opportunistic defenses and 2 offenses that, when they're playing well, can put points up. I am super excited for this game, but I believe Houston is going to come out and win this game by a touchdown.
They need it. They just need it for their football soul. Like, they just haven't looked good this year. Coming off the bye, getting a win at home against Miami would be a big lift for them. I like Miami here. I think that offense is really getting sharp, and that's a problem for teams. This one's indoors, and it's 3 at 2.5. I'd probably like Houston, but this is probably going to be a field goal game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wins it.
No, but I do. I think this is going to be one of the real good games, or has an opportunity to be one of the real good games, maybe even of the season. I mean, this could be, because these are 2 teams really need this win.
Should feel like a playoff game.
This could really have a playoff feel to it. It's going to be interesting to see what Houston's defense looks like without Al-Shaair. What that looks like, because he's been kind of their enforcer, kind of, running the middle of that defense. So, because they've had almost as many breakdowns in the secondary as Cleveland has had this year. So, obviously, again, you can run a lot of parlays here, even on both sides, but like Tua, Jalen, Tyreek, you can bet the offense. This over will hit. So definitely have this over in your parlays.
Yeah, I agree with the over there. two teams who are not battling for playoff spots are the Carolina Panthers and Dallas Cowboys. Carolina, 3-point home favorites. 43 is the over-under on this game. Minus 155 for the Panthers, plus 130 for the Cowboys. You did not mishear me. The Carolina Panthers are favored in this game. And you know what? I like them here, Jimmy. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, we need it. We need the Carolina Panthers to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
And make everybody's day.
We all need this. So, I mean, let's be fair. We've definitely been hypercritical of him. Bryce Young has played some pretty good football lately. They've been close. They've taken some pretty rough losses here the last few weeks. So, kudos to them on, trying some different stuff. They're, as a team, they're still fighting through it. So I think this will be a big marquee win for them to get a win over the Cowboys.
Another game between teams that will be sitting out the playoffs are the New York Giants traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Jets 3-point road favorites, 40.5 is the over-under, minus 166 for New York, plus 140 for Jacksonville. Jimmy, another road underdog.
Jacksonville?
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah, they stink. These teams stink. This one, I might even look away if this comes on the Red Zone channel. Like, I don't want no part of this mess.
Well, then let's move on to a game that does matter. The Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Philadelphia, 5.5-point home favorites over the Steelers. 43 is the over-under, plus 205 for Pittsburgh, minus 250 for Philly. That seems like a lot of points, Jimmy.
Well, it seems like Vegas agrees with you that Pittsburgh might be doing it with smoke and mirrors, man.
I mean, I still think that defense should be able to limit what Philadelphia is trying to do, and that passing attack's really struggled. So Pittsburgh's going to really look to shut down Saquon in the run game and force Jalen to beat them with his arm. I don't know. A lot of drama coming out of that locker room, but there always seems to be a lot of drama coming out of that locker room.
Yeah, I think Sirianni kind of eats on that, and I think the Steelers are a true top 5 defense in the NFL, but I don't really know if you can contain that Eagles run offense. I don't know if you can, even with the talent that the Steelers have. I actually like the Eagles here. I think the Eagles are going to cover this. I think Russ is going to have to be really, really good. They're not going to be able to make mistakes. The Eagles passing offense is not clicking right now. It's not vibing. It's not working. But the run game and the defense are playing so well that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. I just think it's too many points. I can see Philly winning this game by a field goal late, but Pittsburgh keeps these games super close. The big game of the week sees the Detroit Lions hosting the Buffalo Bills. Lions are 2.5-point home favorites. 54.5 is the over-under, minus 148 for Detroit, plus 124 for Buffalo. Well, a big contest here, Jimmy. Are you continuing your doubting of the Detroit Lions?
Yeah. I mean, the Detroit Lions, every decent team the Lions have played except for the Seahawks, they've only been able to win by one score. The Bills are better than every team the Lions have played. Like, the Bills win this game by a touchdown. No questions asked. Give me the over for sure. But I mean,
well, it's tough to look at this game and not want to take Buffalo when you get the chance with them being underdogs. There's something to it about, like, oh, I'm going to get Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. I'll just bet it every time, and then I'll live with the consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't like this is a huge game. I mean, this could legitimately be a Super Bowl preview. I mean, like, it really could. Detroit, if somehow, some way they could get past Philly, like maybe Philly's offense cannot get going, Detroit could come out of the NFC, and Buffalo is one of the teams with a chance to come out of the AFC. This could honestly be a Super Bowl preview. But you look back at this Lions team all year. I know everybody is, if 31 other coaches in the NFL chose to go for it on that fourth down instead of kicking that field goal, they would be nobody would have said that was a good good job, good idea. But because it's the ankle biter that everybody, the kneecap biter that everybody loves, Dan Campbell, we say, oh, that was a great decision. No, it wasn't. It was a stupid fucking decision. It wasn't a smart decision in any way, shape, or form. And if you make that kind of decision against Buffalo and it does not work, which your quarterback almost fell down and fumbled the ball doing it, so like you do that against Buffalo, Josh Allen's going to make you pay. Like that, they have blown out the three really bad teams they've played. Every other game they've played, I believe, except for the Seahawks. They might have beat the Packers by 10 once, and they beat the Seahawks by like 15. All the rest of their wins have been one-score games, and none of those teams are as good as the Bills. I think there are two very good teams in the NFC. There are like four elite teams in the AFC, and you're going to see what that looks like. I really believe in this game. I think Detroit is going to look like the underdog in this game.
I'm going to continue fading your fading of the Detroit Lions.
All right, man.
I would advise everybody to continue. Bet Gibbs to score a touchdown. Bet Montgomery to score a touchdown. And bet both of them to score a touchdown. This seems to happen. It's happened 2 of the last 3 weeks. Our next game has huge implications for the bottom of the AFC playoff table. The Denver Broncos hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Broncos 4.5-point favorites. Over-under sits at 44, minus 198 for Denver, plus 164 for Indianapolis. The Colts just always seem to find themselves in this situation, don't they?
Yeah.
It's 4.5. Is Denver actually 4.5 points better than Indianapolis? I think they are, but I don't.
Right.
There's something about Indianapolis that scares me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I agree because it feels like Indy only plays games where they win close or they get blown out. Is like what it feels like. In Denver, I mean, like, and it's weird because Denver's defense has been great except for a couple performances, and maybe in Denver, you're seeing what happens when you hire a good coach and kind of let him build the roster the way he wants and lets him manage the games the way he wants, because I still can't really believe Denver's about to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's a really impressive job by the team. I mean, we thought they had talent on defense. I don't think we expected Bo Nix to be able to execute the dink and dunk like this, but now he's actually running, pushing the ball downfield. Like, Denver's a good team. I'm going to take the Colts here.
Fair enough.
I'm taking the Colts.
I'll take Denver. I would advise staying away from that 4.5.
Yeah.
Vegas doesn't know what to do with this game either.
Yeah, I think it should be a very fun game. I'm hoping to get to see a good portion of it because I think it's going to have a playoff feel to it because those are two teams, absolutely battling. And I don't know if Denver expected to be in this situation where there were teams that had to get through them to get to the playoffs and other teams waiting for them to collapse. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I got a feeling that they're not 4 points better than the Colts.
I just think they're at home. Indianapolis might wear down as the game goes on.
Yeah.
But I would advise if you're trying to bet this game, tease that Denver down to minus 2.5, or if you're going to play the Indy side of it, tease that up to 7.5. Because I think that keeps you in the range of getting a good win.
Yep.
Our next game sees the Arizona Cardinals 6-point home favorites against the New England Patriots. 46.5 is the over-under, minus 230 for Arizona, plus 190 for New England. This is another game that I look at and just see those 6 points and go, man, that's a lot for Arizona to try to cover.
Yeah, but Arizona's been pretty good when they haven't been playing the NFC West. I'm gonna
fair point.
I'm going to take the Cardinals here, man. I like some things going on in New England. I don't like some things going on in New England, but this isn't a big marquee game, so Kyler should be fine, and that Arizona offense should roll.
All right, I'll back you. I'll go with Arizona, just because I don't know what to make of New England anymore. They're a bad team. I just don't know how bad I guess Arizona is. So it's really Arizona that's the mystery to me.
Yeah, it's Arizona that's the mystery. Yeah, absolutely.
Our next game sees the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chargers 2.5-point favorites. 45.5 is the over-under, minus 142 for LA, plus 120 for Tampa. All right, Jimmy, what's going to happen here, man? Baker on the West Coast.
Oh, Baker getting this win. This Tampa Bay, no doubt in my mind.
Man, they're really just grabbing that division by the bull horns, aren't they?
They're, they are doing what the Cleveland Browns coaching staff refused to do, and just letting Baker. Now, obviously, Baker has grown up, he's matured, probably learned some things how to do the right way, some things the wrong way. But in a lot of cases, I don't care what Cleveland media says, he's the exact same quarterback that he was here when he was healthy. Like,
Yeah.
we only want to
He's slinging
still
it.
remember the injured Baker, not the healthy Baker. So when they talk about he's totally different quarterback, yeah, because he's healthy, and when he was healthy here, he was the same quarterback. But Tampa Bay is just kind of saying, hey man, go out there, turn K-Dot into Tony Gonzalez. We're cool with it, no problem. Like, and I just think they are going to keep fighting. They need this win. Like a win here is really big for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big for the Chargers too. The Chargers really need this win as well. But I just don't think I think Tampa Bay knows we don't have a good defense, so we're blitzing a ton. We're trying to cause turnovers, and if we can get like 2 stops, maybe 3, make some field goals, make them kick field goals in the red zone, we can get another win. And I think that's going to happen. I love Tampa here.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with you as well. I worry about the Chargers moving the football without a running game really worries me. And they need a win, but they don't really need a win. They're 2 games up on that last playoff spot.
Yeah.
So they have some breathing room. Tampa doesn't really have that breathing room, and they need a win
No.
because Atlanta's playing a bad team this week.
Yep.
Our next big matchup of the week sees the Green Bay Packers traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Packers, 2.5-point road favorites. 45.5 is the over-under, -135 for Green Bay, +114 for Seattle. Whew. Seattle really needs this win, man. They've got the Rams just nipping at their heels,
Yeah.
and Green Bay just needs to keep winning for seeding.
Yep. I think this is going to be it's another one of the big ones. There are some big games this week. I like a lot of what Seattle is doing, but I liked Green Bay coming into the season. They have affirmed a lot of what I thought. I think the Packers go into Seattle and get this win.
I agree. I don't think that Seattle team is what it used to be, especially at home. And I still have a lot of doubts about Green Bay's consistency, but I think they should be able to do enough to win this game by a field goal.
Yeah.
Our next game sees the Minnesota Vikings, who just refuse to fucking lose, hosting the Chicago Bears. They are 6.5-point home favorites. 43.5 is the over-under, -290 for Minnesota, +235 for Chicago. I mean, Minnesota has to win this game by a touchdown, right? Like, they just have to be that much better.
Yes, I'm trying to not overthink this one. The Vikings have to be a touchdown better than the Bears, and I think you just go with that. Like,
Okay.
we feel like we will definitely be betting against the Vikings and Sam Darnold in the playoffs, but right now there's no reason to not just go with the data we have in front of us. Go Vikings.
Our last game sees the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Atlanta, 4-point road favorites. 44 is the over-under, -205 for the Falcons, +170 for the Raiders. What the fuck, man? Is Kirk Cousins just done? Is it just over now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
you don't even know what to make of it either.
It's so weird. Like it's so weird. Like, not that he didn't have, he had some weapons in Minnesota, but my gosh, the weapons he should have at his disposal in Atlanta, and it is just not working. And as an organization, they don't seem to know what to do. They weren't ready to be in this situation yet, and they look like they're kind of in meltdown mode. But a game against the Raiders should right the ship for a week.
Yeah, the Raiders stink.
The Falcons got problems, but not like the Raiders got problems.
No, the Raiders are one of the Raiders are one of the worst situations in the league. Like it's I think
hopefully
Cleveland, them, the Giants, and the Jets. I think those are the 4 worst. Wow, Carolina's not even in the bottom 4.
Jacksonville might deserve to be down there. I don't know.
I still have faith in Trevor if they get a good coach. You get
All right, I'm good with
Indianapolis's
that.
coach with Trevor
Yeah, I'm
or
good with that.
Minnesota's coach. Find somebody like that.
But
Find an offensive minded coach that can really challenge him and get the most out of him.
yeah, hopefully Atlanta is smart enough this week to just turn around and give the ball to Bijan and go get a victory and just move on with their day.
Well, it's week 15, man. Playoff picture coming into focus. People are cashing in their futures bets from before the season as teams clinch divisions. What We don't have too many races left, Jimmy. How do you think these shake out? You liked Tampa before the season in the NFC South. I assume you still
I
do.
did. I sure do.
Yeah, they got the upper hand there, and Atlanta's just looked so terrible lately. And then
Yeah, now I will say Tampa does have kind of a rough schedule to finish out.
yeah.
So I will say that, but I think they're going to be okay.
And in the NFC West, you have Seattle 8-5. The Rams now 8-6. We'll see what happens with that Green Bay game. So those two teams play next week. That's probably for the division. How do you think that shakes out?
It is. How do you think it shakes out?
I have no idea. I have money on Seattle, so I can't be very objective. That's the problem.
I'm just because I still have I still have this soft spot for the Rams because I still just love what the front office did in going and getting Matt Stafford and going and winning a Super Bowl. So I feel like it's with my heart and not my head when I feel like the Rams are going to win that division.
Yeah, I feel like the Rams are going to win the division.
I just because they just feel like one thing I think Sean McVay is super good at, and it's a little bit of what's going on in Denver. But I feel like every year, even if it has to change, I feel like Sean McVay knows what his team is, doesn't try to be what he's not, doesn't try to ask people to do what they don't do well. What do the guys I have right now do well? Let's do that. And let's try to win football games. And I just feel like that's what they're doing right now. That inside run game with the play action to Puka just seems to really be working. And that seems to be what they're doing, and it looks really good. And I just feel like, 4 weeks ago, it felt like Seattle and Arizona were worlds ahead of the Rams, and now I just don't feel that way. I feel like the Rams are going to win that division.
Yeah, I hate it because they would just, after the last couple of years of going with the Rams and having them disappoint and then have them do it a year, I bet would be really fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
And then we have the NFC North is the only other competitive division. The Lions 12-1, the Vikings 11-2. Those two teams play one more game, and that's probably going to decide how this division shakes out. I still like Detroit there. Do you like the Vikings?
Yes.
Yeah, you like the Vikings there. And now's probably a good time. I wonder what the odds are on them to win that division.
I think they'll both be 12-2 here in a handful of hours. So
you can give the Vikings at plus 500 right now. That's probably a bet worth making.
Yep.
Like a nice little small hedge bet because I've got the Lions to win that division at plus 150.
Yeah.
Let's just leave that up so I remember that one. And then I guess the only divisions, I don't think Houston's going to let the Colts catch them. I don't think the Colts are going to be able to catch them. So I don't even think it's a matter of what Houston does. Do you think that division's up for grabs at all?
No, yeah. I don't think so.
And then the Chiefs and the Bills have already clinched their division. And Pittsburgh, 2.5 games up on Baltimore. They still have a game together, but only 4 games left to play. I know Pittsburgh's got a tough end of the season, but I feel like they should be able to win enough to keep that division.
And I think I think if Pittsburgh wins that division, Mike Tomlin should be coach of the year.
I would agree with that. He's made it work. He just every fucking year he makes it work.
And he's like, yeah.
It's infuriating. It's so infuriating. All I can do is respect it.
Yeah. Well, I told somebody at work the other day that was a Steelers fan, and they were joking with me, and I said, no, you know what? I feel like the penance for the Deshaun Watson quarterback contract should be a Steelers Buccaneers Super Bowl. Like a team that is only paying like $4 million for two quarterbacks against the quarterback we could have had on a pretty friendly deal playing for the Super Bowl while we're still paying Deshaun Watson all this money.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would be maximum Cleveland pain. That's probably like plus 35,000 for both of those teams to be in the play, for both of those teams to be in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, that's probably what it would be.
Yeah, no, I agree, but yeah, I mean, I just don't think there's enough football left for the Ravens to catch them, and the Ravens have had some gaffes. You know, they haven't necessarily played well enough to win that division, but it's still just wild that it's not Bengals Ravens 1-2 in that division. I guess really, I mean, a lot of people said, you know, the Browns were going to be right there too at the start of the year. There were a lot of people had that projection, you know, but there were not a lot of projections of the Steelers winning the AFC North. So
no, not very many at all.
Kudos to their organization and Mike Tomlin for doing it again.
Fucking assholes. On that note, we should just wrap it up. Jimmy, thanks for joining me to talk some football on a Friday night.
No place I'd rather be, brother.
And I want to thank all of you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I am Evan Belfiore. Thank you for listening to No Broken Legs.